There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers. A dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends. A place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view. But when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. It's Monday. You're tuned into the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. Back in studio with me, Tim Dennis, here for the week. Hi, Tim.
Hiya.
How are you, sir?
I am so good.
That's good.
It's a crime.
You're going to be walking soon.
I am.
Who's a big boy?
I'm a big boy.
Who's a big boy?
I'm a big boy.
You are. You're doing well. You're healing up well. Thank you to all the listeners that continue the love and support and prayers and healing, voodoo, black magic, whatever you've done.
Yeah,
it works.
Whatever soul you had to sell, thanks. I appreciate it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to throw you a curve, as we're starting Supernatural News and Parashare tonight, talking about black magic and weird stuff.
Yep.
And I know tomorrow's True Crime Tuesday.
Yeah.
But did you see the article about the Florida man who is running for Congress or something like that?
Yeah. I saw that.
Let's now. Usually we talk about Florida man on our True Crime Tuesday shows,
Right.
But in this case, why don't we launch into Florida Man with this bizarre story?
Well,
because it fits into the supernatural news realm, Tim.
All right.
And since people are slaking their thirsts on the blood of virgin goats and chickens to save your life,
okay,
let's hear about how other people are using the blood of goats.
Well, Dave, we like to joke around a little bit about it, but evidently this candidate in Florida, it's a U.S. senatorial candidate, I should say, is admitting to sacrificing a goat and drinking its blood. No, it wasn't a cute little trick or even a little banquet joke. 2 years ago, Augustus Saul Invictus walked from central Florida to the Mojave Desert and spent a week fasting and praying, at times thinking he wouldn't survive. In a pagan ritual to give thanks when he returned home, he killed the goat and drank its blood.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
that's an interesting thing to own up to when you're running for Senate.
Full disclosure, Dave.
That kind of blows the old, well, I smoked marijuana, but I did not inhale.
I just took a toke.
I slit the goat's throat, but I did not ingest the blood.
I didn't drink it, Dave.
I rinsed it around in my mouth.
I gargled. Yeah.
Like Listerine.
Mm-hmm. Now that he's a candidate for U.S. Senate, the story is coming back to bite him.
Yeah.
The chairman of the Libertarian Party of Florida has resigned to call attention to Invictus's candidacy in hopes that other party leaders will denounce him. Adrian Wiley, who was the Libertarian candidate for governor last year, says Invictus wants to lead a civil war, is trying to recruit neo-Nazis to the party, and brutally and sadistically dismembered a goat.
Yikes. Well, how long ago was that? I mean, who didn't brutally and maliciously dismember an animal of a farmyard at some point in their life?
Dave, it was World War II. We were all doing weird stuff.
It was.
Maybe it wasn't that far back.
Don't dismantle animals and drink their blood, please. No, don't do it. Just buy a cup like Tim and I do.
Yeah. It's an awkward situation for the small party that's trying to gain clout. He is the absolute exact opposite of a libertarian. He's a self-proclaimed fascist. He's promoting a second civil war, Wiley said. It's absolute insanity. We must explain to the people this is the opposite of libertarians. This guy has no place in the Libertarian Party. That, again, according to Wiley. Invictus, a 32-year-old lawyer who has changed his given name, which he declines to reveal. He ain't given his government name, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a slave name. I don't know what that means. To a Latin phrase, which means majestic, unconquered sun. That's what Invictus means.
Oh, nice.
Says Wiley. Oh, beautiful. Says Wiley, who is just running a smear campaign and is twisting his words into lies. No, he says, he is not a white supremacist, pointing out his 4 children are Hispanic. though he acknowledges that some white supremacists support his campaign. No, he isn't trying to start a civil war, he says, but he does say the government already is at war with its citizens and that it's certain to escalate. The only question is that when are citizens going to start fighting back? He said in a phone interview on Friday. I don't think I'm the only person who sees a cataclysm coming.
Invictus says, knock you out. I'm going to knock you out. Invictus says, knock you out. I don't see a fight coming. Why does there got to always be a fight? Why can't we hug it out?
I think the government would hug it out with us.
Come here, Putin. Hug me out.
I do want to be the small spoon, though. Because if the government's going to hug us, they're also going to, us
fork
too.
Us?
Yeah.
If they're spooning, they're forking?
They are. Take a look at your tax bill sometime.
Oh, God.
I don't think I'm the only person who sees a cataclysm coming, Invictus said, but I think I'm the only person saying it, and I think that scares people.
Yeah.
Sacrifice is the question, yes. Brutal and sadistic.
So it seems.
Not according to Invictus, Dave.
What?
No. He said, I did sacrifice a goat. I know that's probably a quibble in the mind of most Americans, he said. I sacrificed an animal to the god of the wilderness. Yes, I drank the goat's blood, he said.
How is that any different than a lot of deer hunters? Don't some deer hunters drink the blood and spill blood into the ground to thank the earth gods and things like that?
Never on any hunt I was ever on. No.
Okay.
No.
Maybe it's just in the movies.
Might have hung it upside down in the garage, Dave, before he took it to the butcher.
How is that any different?
Never drank anything out of it.
So you say.
No, never did. He admits he's been investigated by the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, and other law enforcement. He is confident they're still watching him, in part for a series of YouTube videos and other writings in which he discusses government. He renounced his citizenship in one paper, and in another he prophesied a great war, saying he would wander into the wilderness and return bearing revolution. So he's a peaceful guy, Dave.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess it makes me feel flattered that they think I'm a threat to the stability of the system. It makes me think one man can make a difference, Invictus said.
One goat-drinking man can make a difference, Tim.
He insists, though, he doesn't advocate violence. You do not initiate force,
unless you're a goat.
Unless you're a goat. Then he's the most violent, sadistic MFer you've ever seen. You do not initiate force, he said. If the government is waging war on citizens, we as citizens have the right to self-defense on government.
Blah, blah, blah. All right, I get the point. We don't need to continue on with political rhetoric. I was just curious. This guy's drinking goat's blood, and now it's going to...
Well, we're almost done. We're almost done.
Love to keep it going. All right, go on. I just don't care about the politics. I just want to hear about the blood drinking.
Well, we're talking about the paganism part.
Oh, okay. Government?
No.
Oh.
No.
I'm just looking for clarification, man.
He does have a long shot here. Libertarian candidates only receive about 3.8% of the vote. He acknowledges that being a pagan will hurt him with the electorate. Okay. But he says he's running with the hope of speaking on the Senate floor. If not elected, he says he thinks there's a purpose for all of this, and that is to get a message out there, waking up people, and that they're the ones who control the government and not the other way around. There you go. That's the end of the story, Dave.
I see. Interesting. Not so much. But anyway.
Well,
it's not your fault. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, so what's going on with the rest of the world? Where are we going to go off to next?
Well, Dave, I figured we'd talk about somebody who's been in our supernatural news before. But for one reason or another, I've seen a couple of emails. I know you've gotten a couple of messages.
This is why I asked you to read this one.
Yeah. About a certain UFO.
Stan Romanek, right? There's this big documentary, the Stan Romanek Experience or whatever on Netflix, which I did watch, and it is a fascinating documentary. They do well. And at least they did address the situation at the end that he's currently going through.
Yeah.
And we've had many people reach out and say, I've seen this. You got to have him on your show. Well, we've had Stan Romanek on our show.
We have. Yeah.
And before I would ever agree to have him back on, he's going to need to settle what's going on in court.
Right.
And be cleared of it. So that's just where we stand. But go ahead. What's the new news story?
Okay. So Stan Romanek's court case has been gaining more attention as Netflix subscribers view his story. Of course, much like with the making a murderer deal and whatnot, People are seeing it. People are ingesting it. People are wanting to know if we want them on the show. Public interest in a criminal court case against Loveland, Colorado, by the way, resident Stan Romanek has grown since a film documenting his purported paranormal experiences and sightings of unidentified flying objects became available to watch on Netflix earlier in the month. 53-year-old Stan Romanek is facing felony allegations of possessing and distributing child pornography, charges stemming from a Loveland Police Department arrest made in 2014 after a tip from the Department of Homeland Security alerted local detectives to suspicious files allegedly stored on Romanek's home IP address. An 8-day jury trial is set to begin at the end of this month, with the first day of jury selection scheduled for, of all days, Dave, July 31st. You know what day that is, right?
July 31st?
Yeah.
Well, that already passed.
Yeah, exactly.
What? What?
Well, no, it's today.
July 30th. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah. Oh, good.
The case initially drew attention due to Romanek's status within the UFO community, which his former defense attorney, Catherine Hay, once argued made Romanek a target for someone to frame by transferring illicit images or videos onto his hard drive. The defendant had controversially claimed to experience numerous UFO sightings throughout the 2000s and has written several books on the subject and been featured in documentary films depicting his supposed paranormal events. One of the films, Extraordinary, the Stan Romanek story, has become available to watch on Netflix for the streaming service's more than 50 million U.S. subscribers in early July. Produced by J3 Films and directed by John Sumple, the movie centers around the evidence on which Romanek has based his claims of alien contact and the effect of his controversial statements have had on his life. Since Netflix added the film, which points out Romanek is facing the child porn charges at its conclusion and suggests there's a chance he is innocent, additional media outlets outside local newspapers have reported on the strange and often delayed court case, which likely will finally come to a resolution in early August after nearly 3 years on the state's 8th Judicial District docket. For example, the fact-checking website Snopes.com published a piece about the court case and the role Sumple's Extraordinary film has played in garnering additional interest. The Christian-based Loveland company Group Publishing is also filming a follow-up documentary on Romanek's legal battle for its Lifetree Cafe project, which essentially a network of online and in-person forums across the country where various topics such as the possibility of extraterrestrial life, differing religious systems, and even immigration are discussed as they relate to attendees' personal faith. Group Publishing CEO Tom Schultz said the Lifetree Cafe network featured a film about Romanek's self-reported alien abduction accounts around 4 years ago that was highly engaged by Lifetree Cafe visitors and produced much deep discussion. Schultz expects similar intrigue with the legal case Romanek is now facing. I think people out there are looking at this trial as not only a trial of Stan Romanek, but some are really thinking that this is putting ufology, the field of documenting UFO sightings, on trial as well, Schultz said. A man from as far away as central Illinois named Patrick Cahill, 51 years old, contacted the Reporter Herald after reviewing the Extraordinary film on Netflix to report his interest in Romanek's case and claim he has undergone similar experiences to those Romanek claims to have had in the film of reported UFO sightings and extraterrestrial contact. Others have spoken to the Reporter Herald and offer more skeptical views of Romanek's claims, yet the result of his trial will do little to change the minds of either his supporters or critics, according to Florida resident Jack Brewer, a member of the UFO community who has blogged about the case against Romanek from its early stages and has also authored a book encouraging UFO enthusiasts to exercise more discretion in accepting so-called evidence of extraterrestrial contact or paranormal experiences. He says, in my opinion, Stan Romanek will retain a circle of diehard supporters who will see their beliefs confirmed no matter the outcome of the trial, Brewer said. If Stan were to be acquitted, they will feel it confirms their suspicions he was set up, and if found guilty, they will continue to assert that Stan was framed. Others confidentially feel his sincerity has conclusively been shown to be lacking.
There is some weirdness to that whole case, and the fact that there is precedent for the fact that there are some documented cases of people that have not had anything to do with the child pornography ring having these pictures appear on their computer and seem to be working behind the scenes at distributing them. And it's there's different cases with that are out there that talk about this. So it's interesting. I also think it's kind of weird in the documentary, and he did this and he mentioned this to us at Phenomenology a few years ago, Jeff Belanger and I. And he was like, "Oh, do you guys want to see this new piece of video I just caught?" And we're like, "Sure." And he goes, "Yeah, I was at home." And he describes this in the documentary. And he says, and I caught like the reflection of who I thought was my teenage stepson running around naked. So I quickly grabbed my video camera to film him, which to me sounds like not a great thing to admit.
Yeah.
And then he laughs about, I was going to use it for blackmail. How are you going to blackmail a young naked teenage boy to do what?
Right.
And I don't know. That seems damning to me that it's in the documentary. He tells the same story. And I remember Jeff and I looked at each other and thought, oh, that's really icky.
Yeah.
And the way he just kind of, and I said, and I asked him then, I go, well, why would you want to film a naked teenage boy? And he goes, oh, I don't know. I just thought it'd be funny. And you just got this kind of, ugh.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, it's because I'm a dad, and I would never think, oh, here comes my 13-year-old. I'm going to run in and film him naked. That just, to me, seems out of place. So, whereas you'd like to think maybe there's a chance this whistleblower who is trying to come forward with these stories might, maybe there is somebody behind the scenes. But look, nobody's done that to Stanton Friedman.
Right.
Nobody's done that to
Whitley Strieber.
Nobody else has done a lot of this weird stuff. So why Stan Romanek? And then when you've got a self-admitted deal that he was trying to at one point film an underage minor boy, and he talks about it in his documentary.
Yeah.
Whether he thinks it's funny or not.
Right.
That's
why I tend to look at it with a skeptical eye, and I could probably get some people blow back at me over this too.
Right.
But I tend to look at it with a skeptical eye and say, you know what? Let the trial be the trial. Let the evidence be the evidence. I don't think this has anything to do with any secret government conspiracy or anything.
I don't, unfortunately.
Whatever happens because it was actions of Stan and Stan alone.
Right. And there was something that they found out more recently that pushed the court case off because new mounting evidence has appeared. So that's not good either.
Yeah.
All right. What's our next story, sir? Well,
we're going to continue on with UFOs, Dave.
Okay.
And this is the latest of a Roswell shocking claim.
Okay.
The headline just reads, I drove crashed flying saucer away on the back of a truck. So there's actually, this is a UFO eyewitness, more than an eyewitness account. This person's claiming to be involved, evidently. A shocking new detail of a previously unknown witness to the alleged Roswell UFO crash may have surfaced. Investigators at the MUFON, Dave, I'm just using improper English now, received an anonymous letter about an incident in and around 1982 that could have helped shed light on the ongoing mystery. The Roswell myth has been at the heart of the UFO scene since July of 1947, when the military sensationally announced in a press release it had found the remains of a crashed flying saucer in the desert nearby. But the following day, it retracted that statement, of course, as we know, and said it was a damaged U.S. Air Force air balloon. Witnesses later came forward to say that there had been alien bodies within the crashed craft, which, along with the wreckage, were allegedly taken to the mysterious Area 51 military base in Nevada. The letter was sent to the U.S. organization in January, but details have just now emerged after MUFON finished investigating the case. It claims that around 1982, Jose Shea Terran went into C&M Tire Shop in Yarborough Drive in El Paso, Texas, as a customer and told staff that he was personally involved in the Roswell crash incident. A MUFON investigation report into the letter by Robert Spearing said, according to the anonymous report sent to MUFON, Shea said he was a truck driver with the U.S. Army from an unknown location. He said he saw a damaged craft loaded onto his truck from viewing out his rearview mirrors. He saw a tarp covering it later. He was instructed by military personnel to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and that said he saw nothing at risk of losing. Saying that he saw nothing at risk of losing his military pension. The letter said the story was overheard by a mechanic at C&M. Shea was said to be a regular customer and would often tell staff the story. The anonymous letter writer said it had been relayed to him by an employee at C&M. MUFON, the world's biggest organization dedicated to UFO and alien research, has concluded investigating those claims by Shea. Investigators located Jose Shea Terran's stepson, 77-year-old Fernando Jimenez, and asked if he knew the story of the Roswell incident with his stepdad's participation. However, he was unable to find any living C&M staff.
Right.
The report said Mr. Jimenez, frail and ailing, was sincere and cooperative. However, his knowledge was minimal on the deal. He could not recall the branch of service his stepfather was employed with. He also stated that he was well aware of the Roswell crash incident through television and newspaper accounts, but his stepfather never discussed the story with him. Mr. Terran was otherwise childless. The MUFON report added also, James Clarkson of MUFON made a very astute discovery in the course of the investigation. The anonymous witness stated that Jose Shea Terran was a truck driver with the Army. His tombstone at Fort Bliss National Cemetery shows Mr. Terran was a member of the Navy. His participation as a truck driver in the middle of the desert area is suspect, according to the investigator. The anonymous writer also claimed there was a conspiracy underway with all online records about Mr. Terran infected with a virus. MUFON found no evidence to back this up. The report added, this report is mostly without merit and certainly inconclusive as far as physical or testimonial evidence. There you go.
All right. What's our next story?
Well, we move forward, and we might as well go to the world of entertainment for this one, having to do with aliens.
Yes.
Yaphet Kotto.
Yeah, I love him. He was in the Alien movie.
He was in the Alien movie.
Yeah.
And he believes he's seen and actually been abducted by actual aliens.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Let's hear it.
Well, many people know Yaphet Kotto as Parker and Ridley Scott's Alien. His body of work is long and varied, with starring roles in film like Live and Let Die and The Running Man, as well as the acclaimed TV series Homicide: Life on the Street. He's well respected and highly intelligent, and he wholeheartedly believes in aliens. In a recent interview with Vice, Kotto is been discussing his first sighting, his experiences, and his beliefs about alien life. He also discusses his thoughts on Alien and a variety of other things, including a very specific reason why he was upset by just how Parker died in the film. It is, in a word, interesting. But not only does Kotto believe he sees aliens or has seen them, but he thinks he's been abducted by them too, and claims this has been happening for decades. He also insists that he's not mentally ill. In there, they ask him the question, have you ever been diagnosed with any sort of mental health issue? He laughs and says, absolutely not. I have an IQ of 196.
Holy balls.
196!
Well, it's not to say that intelligent people can't be crazy, too, but right. I get his point.
He says, might as well say that the hundreds of other people, including Canada's previous defense minister, who came to the same conclusions about alien life, had mental health issues, too. That was a quote from Kotto. When Kotto spoke with Sci-Fi Wire's Jeff Spry in 2015, he spoke of his time shooting Alien, as well as why he turned down the role of Lando Calrissian. We also learned Tom Cruise's role in Minority Report was originally written for him. But perhaps the most interesting part of the interview are his beliefs on extraterrestrials. He says, quote, I was having extraterrestrial experiences from the time I was 10 years old. Weird experiences. First, they took me to a psychiatrist, priest, rabbi, and no one could dispute it. Why would I be making things up at 10? I saw the damn things. I'm looking out the window at my friends playing stickball. I'm being grounded in the house for coming home late from school. I got tired of watching and turned to leave, and standing right at the edge of the doorway to my room, and standing right at the edge of the doorway to my room was a figure of what we now call the Greys. He leaped out of the way like he didn't want me to catch him. I looked down the hall and there was nobody there. I asked my grandmother if there was anybody in the house, and she said, no, just you and me. But I never forgot that. And as I got to be a teenager and an adult, I realized, holy bleep, that was an alien. I didn't mean anything to me didn't mean anything to me back then, but looking back, I thought, wait a minute, brother, these guys are real. I didn't accept it fully until I was about 35 to 40 years old. A lot of time I never even talked about it. So what do you think? Is Yaphet Kotto onto something?
Or on something. I think it's fascinating, and it's interesting that he's coming forward. I just wish he would have done this sooner.
Yeah.
But again, you got to wonder, would that affect your acting career?
It might have, and it could. I think the more Hollywood stars come out and talk about that sort of thing, the more they kind of get pushed to the side, especially if they're on a roll.
Yeah.
They
could be. Is Yaphet Kotto really on a roll?
No, not lately.
I don't mean that disparagingly.
No, you're not.
I just wonder. All right, what's our next story?
Well, let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the world of ghosts, shall we?
Yes.
A chilling moment where a ghost attacks a cameraman and leaves mysterious scratches on his back. A ghost allegedly was filmed attacking a terrified cameraman and left him with scratches on his back. The paranormal cameraman, who didn't believe in such spirits, was caught on camera jumping abruptly after appearing to be shoved in a so-called haunted Fort Woodley in Portsmouth last Saturday. In the footage taken by Spirit Team, he screams, "Something touch me!" But his crew simply laughed, which they should. You always should be laughed at when you scream. I mean, there's something touching me. Something touched my back, he added. It effing hurts. I'm shaking. And then they all pointed and laughed and, I don't know. The shocked man desperately looks around the dark room to see what was causing the feeling. One of his colleagues then jokes, they said the cameraman was going to get it because you're the quiet one in the back. But the cameraman responded, something has pushed me in my back and it feels sore. It really hurts. Another one of the men examined his back to see if there were any injuries and discovered 3 scratches. They're on there. 3 scratch marks on your back going diagonally from your ribs to your spine, one colleague went on to say. Now genuinely terrified, the cameraman adds, F off, you're kidding me, no? The incident proved so scary that he had to remove himself from the area of investigation for several minutes to compose himself and actually felt physically sick after it happened. That according to his team. So there you go.
All right. Next up.
Well, we go on to another story here where it says a professor's gone on to say liberal LED light bulbs are now causing health problems.
No, that's, I think, a story skipped. Is there a way to go back?
Oh, okay. No, it doesn't have a back button.
Yeah, that wasn't one of the stories I sent you.
All right.
There we go.
All right.
That one's good right there.
All right. Well, let's save that one for a little bit later. Let's go to this one. Dave, I'm gonna throw out a disclaimer here now because we're going over to Europe.
Yes, where I'm going to be going in a week and a half. I can't believe it. I'm so excited.
You are. That's going to be fun.
Yes.
But here's my disclaimer, Dave. Let me take a sip here.
All right. Yeah, and I'm going to be going to Nottinghamshire.
Nottinghamshire?
Nottinghamshire.
Are you? Okay. Here's my deal.
What?
All right. I've had it. I've had enough. I don't care if you're Welsh. I don't care how you pronounce stuff. I don't care. I don't care. Here's what I'm going to do. I've had enough. Okay. I'm not looking stuff up.
Sure.
I'm not taking the time.
Mm-hmm.
The population of Wales is probably smaller than what? The population of Minnesota, I'm guessing?
I don't know. Could be.
I don't know. We don't care.
Right.
Here's the deal. For every Welsh name I slaughter, I'm sending you a Minnesota Indian name. All right? And you are going to mispronounce it for me.
I don't think that's really the same thing.
No, it is. It is.
It is funny how people want to, here's a big deal. I mean, we're reading the story. The important thing is the story, not the pronunciation or mispronunciation of the village name.
Yeah, we don't care. Yeah. We don't care. And it's part of it's part of a bit.
It's not a disrespectful thing either.
It's part of a bit. We call this a bit, folks.
Oh,
it's it's because we're ripping and reading. We're going. Yeah. We're giving you the story. Okay,
we are. We're giving you something.
And part of it is I'm an idiot.
Yeah. So that's a big part of it.
So if I mispronounce it, I don't care. I don't care.
All right, get on to it.
So no. Wait, hold on. Let me have my moment here. So some people get on my social media and they go, oh, you should learn how to pronounce it. So here's what we're going to do. Every time you come at me, I'm going to give you Minnesota names to pronounce, and you better do it correctly. All right? So here we go. Paranormal experts, and Dave says it's Nottinghamshire. I say sure. Nottinghamshire.
Okay, fine. Okay. Nottinghamshire.
Paranormal experts have been trying to understand why one part of Nottinghamshire, and you can, again,
go on,
have seen 125 reports of witchcraft in 2 years, with one claiming to have witnessed a secret ceremony. Figures show there were 87 calls about witchcraft in Ashfield North to Knott's Police in 2016 and 38 last year. This is compared to just a handful of reports in other areas across the country. Local experts and believers say some of the reports could be ghostly activity which relates to or has been caused by witchcraft carried out in the past. 73-year-old Dick Starr, Dave, that's his name, don't wear it out, of Underwood, used to work at Annesley Hall.
By the way, that's Dick Starr.
I'm going to give you a Minnesota name to pronounce now.
No, just go on.
And claims he saw his first ghost there in 1960. Or is it 60?
Yes.
The hall dates from the mid-13th century and was previously home to Mary Chaworth, whatever, a lover of poet Lord Byron. I know that one, who lived at the nearby Newstead Abbey, I think. The hall was left empty for years before being badly damaged by a fire in May of 2015. Mr. Starr used to lead paranormal tours around the hall, which he says is one of the most haunted spots in, I'll do it Dave's way, Nottinghamshire, and helped to film an episode of the television show Most Haunted there 10 years ago.
Nice.
During one visit, he claims to have once come across a group from Kirkby and Ashfield practicing witchcraft in the cellar of the hall. They had bowls of water for reflections, mirrors, and a Ouija board down there, he said, adding he has seen many ghosts and spirits in the hall, including a former maid who hung herself in the dairy area of the building. The motivations for practicing witchcraft vary. It is not always linked to evil intentions, and some followers of paganism practice witchcraft. Lee Roberts lives in Sutton and Ashfield and is a professional ghost hunter. He said the recent spike in reports of witchcraft could be related to past events rather than current practicing witches. What they're actually reporting is ghostly paranormal activity that may be related to witchcraft in the past, he went on to say. For instance, Sherwood Forest, which I know I nailed that one, has a history of witchcraft. The Bowl area of Sherwood Forest, which I didn't nail there, is a very haunted area. It was also known as a medieval burial ground and also where people used to gather and do witchcraft back in the 18th and 17th century. What people are reporting, they've seen any paranormal activity in the past, they would report of things like that, which is an odd quote.
It is.
If they've mentioned it was at a witchcraft site, it gets put under the umbrella of witchcraft. He said he's had lots of reports of sightings of ghostly figures on the route of traversal trails near Sutton and Asheville, the site of several alleged ghost sightings, and in a report in May, which was linked to a witch. But the staff at the Traversal Trails Visitor Center yesterday said they have not received any reports of ghost sightings by members of the public. Mr. Starr says one of the most frightening sights he's seen was a young woman who's once possessed by spirits while he was working with a Derbyshire group to film paranormal activity in the hall. She got possessed. She's never been there before. She was only 19. Her mom and dad were frightened, Dick said. They had to put the Bible on her and sage and get to get it out of her. All the cameras and everything went dead. The spirits, were relaying messages that they didn't want anything to be picked up. All her eyes went up in her head. So evidently there's more than two, Dave. Her tongue went black. It was genuine. It was a frightening situation. That was upstairs in Annesley Hall. Selston Parish Council and Annesley and Felly Parish Council also said they had heard that they had not heard any recent reports of witchcraft or ghosts.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Weird stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Where shall we go next?
Well, here's an interesting one, Dave.
Yes.
A very interesting one.
Well, so you say.
Now, here's the deal, folks. Before you get all your undies in a bunch, not your me-undies, because you never want to put me-undies in a bunch. They're wonderful.
I love the feel. They cradle me like I'm in the palms of the Cookie Monster.
Oh, Dave. I don't
go
want
ahead.
the visual.
Go on.
We're not getting political here.
Right. We're just reading a story, just sharing a tale.
We're sharing a tale.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems that there's a pop star out there admitting to using witchcraft to put a hex on our president, Donald Trump.
What?
Yeah, Dave.
Oh, boy. Who's this now?
Well, there have been a number of preposterous plans floated by... I'm reading the story verbatim, so don't jump on me.
Right.
The progressive left to resist the president of the United States, but this latest action will leave you spellbound. in its stupidity. That's the way it's read here. I don't know. I say, hey, you do what you do. Live and let live, Dave. The loose-knit resistance to the president has been steaming ahead for months at the behest of celebrities, liberal politicians, and violent radical leftists around the nation, according to this article. The concept is deceptively simple. Oppose every single thing that Donald Trump says, does, likes, or believes. At its core, the idea is simply un-American, Dave.
It's un-American.
Un-American.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being utilized to undermine the office of the president. Yet the left has continually upped the ante on the ridiculous ways that they choose to exert this force. The latest piece de resistance, Dave?
Yes?
Comes to us from pop singer Lana Del Rey.
Oh, is she still a thing?
That's what
I don't mean to be rude.
You know what?
They talk about how popular she is. And does she have songs that are on the actual radio?
That's what I want to know.
And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to her. I mean, she's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I've heard one or two of her. So she did that song for Maleficent.
Right.
Once Upon a Dream, and she's awesome, great voice for it. But yeah, I mean, is she relevant over that?
There's a guy who comes to IWI Wrestling. His name's John. He has a raging you-know-what for Lana Del Rey. I give him crap every single month about Lana Del Rey. I'm like, who's she again? Yeah. And he hates it. He absolutely hates it.
Stunning, very...
She's a good-looking gal.
Ava Gardner-looking kind of chicky. Yeah, go ahead.
So Lana Del Rey recently admitted to resorting to witchcraft in an attempt to thwart Presidente Trump. El Presidente.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Doing what?
Well, the singer sparked speculation that she was attempting to use witchcraft to get rid of Trump earlier this year when she asked her Twitter followers to gather mysterious ingredients.
Good God. I have Newt.
Well, she
says,
of
stool.
Now she's confirmed it, I guess, in a new interview with NME when quizzed about her love of the occult. This, according to this article I'm reading. The article, by the way, is on Constitution.com. You can look it up yourself.
Mm-hmm.
She said, quote, "Yeah, I did it. Why not? Look, I do a lot of shit." she replied. The quote went on to say, "I'm in line with Yoko Ono and John Lennon in the belief that there's a power to the vibration of a thought. Your thoughts are very powerful things, and they become words, and words become actions, and actions lead to physical changes.
And I am the walrus. Cuckoo kajoob."
She added, "I really do believe that words are one of the last forms of magic, and I'm a bit of a mystic at heart." While this is certainly an extraordinary display of strangeness from the radical left, it says in this article, it is likely little more than a publicity stunt for the pop singer. The resistance to Trump has shown little organization over the course of its meager existence, it says in this article. With no central leadership or structure, this extremely basic opposition to the president has done little in terms of exposing what the left believes are flaws of the administration. Instead, you could tell this is written from a certain perspective. Instead, their incessant whining has done little bit water down their own beliefs, turning what the radical left wishes was
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, blah,
so
blah, blah.
Basically, the part of the story we were intrigued by is the fact that Lana Del Rey is trying to use witchcraft on Donald Trump.
According to this article, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. No Eye of Newt, though. I'm not seeing
No Eye of Newt?
No.
It's hard to get nowadays.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's hard to get. Yeah. I think it's just as bad to try and get now as some drugs.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know that
One of
to be
those
true.
under-the-counter things, I think. Yeah.
All right.
We move on. A skeptic father of three who jokingly goaded a spirit to show him what he could do quickly got it right back, Dave. He was scratched during a ghost hunt. Luke Jackson joined South Yorkshire ghost hunters, but was cynical about spirits. When he did, he challenged a spirit. He suddenly got scratched down his back. When he did, the 35-year-old was so taken aback, that he needed a pint and a cigarette.
Yeah. Usually after I get my back scratched like that, I need a good smoke and a drink too, Tim.
Yeah, I do too. Generally, I take a nap afterwards. A skeptical father of three who jokingly goaded a spirit to show him what he could do quickly regretted it when he apparently was scratched by the angered entity. Luke Jackson had joined South Yorkshire ghost hunters at the Monkwood pub near Rotherham in South Yorkshire, but was cynical about the investigation. The event's company coordinator says he challenged the spirit to give him a demonstration of its powers and suddenly experienced what he felt like 3 pins scraped down his back. The 35-year-old was also taken aback by the incident, and he needed to sit down right away and have a pint and a cigarette, along with a 5-minute breather outside the pub before
that does shake your paradigm when you challenge something you don't think exists, and then it responds.
Yeah. Luke said, I remember saying, do something to show us you are here, and at that point, it just felt like pins being dragged down my back. It wasn't that smooth. I've always been skeptical, and I was a skeptic up until that point, and I've always tried to disbelieve and disprove, but after that night in February, my view has changed completely. They were just running.
Are you boring yourself during the story?
No,
I'm yawn.
No, I'm trying not to belch into the microphone.
That's even better.
Yeah. They were just running their usual session on a Thursday night. South Yorkshire ghost hunters often invite members of the public in. The night was going normally, but then we started to get lights going all the way up to the top of the electromagnetic field detector. They turned red, the highest level. The highest level, Dave.
Of course it's red.
Yeah. Danger. Will Robinson,
Be quiet, you bubble-headed booby.
Despite previously being a skeptic, Luke has always been interested in the paranormal, but became a lot more fascinated by the work of the South Yorkshire paranormal team after that night. He now attends a regular weekly session. I guess it took a little bit of scratching in order to get him going, huh? Luke said, that night we started properly enough. We had a Ouija board. Of course, Dave, that's how you kick off any good paranormal investigation. And I was walking around the room. He said, I went to the tippy table. Oh, that's so cute.
I've gotten tipsy at a table once or twice.
Then over to the Ouija board. Frankly, I wasn't paying much attention at that point. It was just a normal evening for me. But after that, the table started moving quite a bit, and the Ouija board started moving around too. I was walking between the Ouija board and the moving table when it happened. The table started moving around in a circle, and then it just stopped completely, and we tried to get it going again. We asked if there was anybody there, just the usual stuff, but the weird part was the Ouija board had stopped completely. After that, we had a massive buildup of energy and a really high electromagnetic field reading at the table. It was at that point that I challenged the spirit. I said, if you have as much power as you really say you do something that will show us that you are definitely here. And it was virtually instantaneous, he went on to say. I could feel 3 pins down my back. It almost felt like a knife. I suppose it felt a little bit like claws or nails, or maybe the paws of a dog that jumps up at you when you go home. Aw. He's just lonely, Dave.
Time to clip those dogs' nails.
The strange thing is that it didn't hurt. I didn't go to see a doctor or anything. I didn't put anything on it either, he went on to say. I think it was a point-proving exercise. Yeah, I know. I think he's a tough guy, really. He said, I think it was a point-proving exercise on the part of the spirit. The marks went away after 3 days, but at the time, I just went outside and had a cigarette and a pint to calm down after the whole ordeal. I lifted up my shirt to show everyone, and they couldn't explain it either. I can. You pissed off a ghost!
Yeah. Completely understandable.
To be honest, I want to think about the whole experience as little as humanly possible, he went on to say. It was like nothing I've ever felt before. The head of the South Yorkshire Ghost Hunters, Martin Brasher, said, I can't explain it, but from what I know about these things, it's probably a demon of some sort. He just blamed demons automatically.
Well, what else is it going to be?
He said, I do believe in an afterlife. I believe if you've lived a good life in this life or a bad one, the same will be lived in the spirit world. I think it was a demon trying to contact Luke. He went on.
Luke, I am your demon.
He was originally a visitor to one of our events in Sheffield, and he was very interested in the paranormal field and also ghost hunting. I invited him along to attend a group meeting that we have every Thursday at the Monkwood Pub in Rotherham.
I would love to join more meetings at pubs. How come we don't do that here? How come there's no paranormal meetings at a bar?
I don't know.
Let's start one up.
Another member.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to St. Cloud Pub. I am your host this evening.
Come on into the cloudy pub.
See.
Another member, Kate, was scratched on her neck and the top half of her back.
Wow.
After the members' event, I know it's like an S&M club now.
Right.
After the members' event, we asked Luke if he would like to become a member of our paranormal group, because evidently you got to be scratched to be initiated.
Sure.
I myself have been into the paranormal field and ghost hunting for 14 years, working alongside a few paranormal groups in Barnsley, and decided to start my own paranormal group up in October of 2016. He went on to say, since then, the group has been growing growing in popularity and is great for team building.
Oh, that's nice.
So they're all kind of just getting along.
All right.
Getting scratched.
So we got scratched. There's a lesson to be learned, folks.
Demons.
Do not ask for what you do not want.
So go to a bar, get scratched by a demon, learn to bond.
Yes. Where are we off to next, sir?
Well, we're going to talk about life after death as long as we're on the subject, Dave.
Yes, life after death.
And what really happens when you die.
Okay.
Brand new study makes a staggering discovery.
Yes.
Scientists have offered a glimpse into the afterlife with a huge study on near-death experiences, with the most shocking finding suggesting that people see spirits when near to death, Dave. Many people claim to experience feelings of peacefulness, sense of disconnection from the body, and visualization of bright lights. But new research has found that a large chunk of people claim to encounter ghostly orbs. Orbs, Dave!
Good God.
New study from Belgium, where they have excellent chocolate, analyzed 154 individuals who had been on the brink of the afterlife to offer a peek into death. The responses were collected through the International Association for Near-Death Studies and the Coma Science Group, and analyzed by experts at the
Coma Science Group.
It was a great song, by the way. And analyzed by experts at the University of Liege.
Oh, Liege.
Yes, my liege.
Hello, Liege.
Charlotte Marshall, lead author of the study, said, "To the best of our knowledge, no study has formally and rigorously investigated whether NDE features follow a fixed order or distribution. The aim of our study was to investigate the frequency distribution of these features, both globally and according to the position of features in narratives, as well as the most frequently reported temporality sequences of the different near-death experiences features." In other words, I can't use a word that's only one syllable. Some 80% of participants who had revived from the verge of death reported feeling extremely peaceful, Dave. 69% saw a bright light, but perhaps most shockingly, 64% believe that they encountered spirits of people. The least common experience was speeding thoughts and precognitive visions. Ms. Marshall said this suggests that near-death experiences seem to be regularly triggered by a sense of detachment from the physical body and end when returning to one's body. The most common sequence experienced by 22% of people was out-of-body experience, followed by experiencing a tunnel, seeing a bright light, and finally a feeling of peace. Ms. Marshall said, "Our findings suggest that near-death experiences may not feature all elements, and elements do not seem to appear in a fixed order. While near-death experiences may have a universal character so that they may exhibit enough common features to belong to the same phenomenon, we nevertheless observed a temporal variability within the distribution of reported features. This raises significant questions about what specific aspects of near-death experiences could be considered as universal and what not. Further research is necessary to explore the differences and precise extent of which content of those experiences reflects their expectations and cultural backgrounds, as well as the neurophysiological mechanisms underlying near-death experiences." And there you go. I have used all my $5 words for today.
Wow, yeah. Is your tongue hurt? I'm almost tired for you.
The roof of my mouth is numb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
Nom, 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 nom. All right. Do we have one last story?
And finally, Dave, finally.
Oh, God.
An alien invasion, Dave!
Dun, 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 dun.
The two words that could make Professor Stephen Hawking crap himself before he involuntarily craps himself from some other reason.
Oh, I would have thought that brakes locked would have been those two words.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's that, too. Professor Stephen Hawking fears...
I've pooped. Oh, no, he's got like an English accent one now, doesn't he?
Does he?
I think so. I think I read somewhere that he got one that has like an...
Hello, Governor.
I've pooped. God.
I can mispronounce things on my speaking spell.
Jay Moore went after him when I was on Jay Moore's podcast. Yeah. Oh, God. It was just, he just tore him apart. And then he goes, what is... Stephen Hawking just looks like a doll somebody put away in a rush.
Oh, no.
I'm like, dude, that's horrible. And he goes, but it's true. All right. Who put Stephen away?
Like a ventriloquist dummy that melted in the sun.
That's right. So that's sad. But what's going on now? He's back to thinking we're going to be conquered.
Yes, he says that aliens could plunder, conquer, and colonize Earth if we contact them.
Ooh, that's a lot of C's.
I think he's afraid of a little bit of alien boffing. I think that's what he's afraid of.
No, what does he say, though? Again, I always wonder if you're locked in your own head for too long, does it start to affect you?
I think so, yeah. British Boffin says getting in touch with extraterrestrials is a very bad idea. Mm-hmm. Stephen Hawking has once again opened up about his fears that aliens could conquer our planet. He said planet... Is it Gliese 832c? Has the potential to be home to alien life, but humans needed to be very wary of getting in touch. I think someone needs to take the telescope away from them.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a bad thing. Professor Stephen Hawking is...
That's it. Take off your bra. Take off your bra. Take off your bra. Who's a dirty girl?
That's no moon. One day, we might receive a signal from a planet like this, but we should be wary of answering back, he said in the documentary, Stephen Hawking's Favorite Places.
Could we just be like, boop? Sorry, but the planet you're trying to reach is currently very busy providing and creating weaponry that will destroy your planet.
There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to run. Meeting an advanced civilization could be like Native Americans encountering Columbus, he went on to say. That didn't turn out so well. No, that's a direct quote from him. He claimed alien life could be rapacious marauders roaming the cosmos in search of resources to plunder and planets to conquer and colonize.
What a show off. I bet he's good at Scrabble, too.
I want to know how he got the speak and spell to say rapacious.
You're cruel.
His fears have not changed since he first spoke out about it on the Discovery Channel in 2010. He said as he grew older, he became more convinced humans were not alone. After a lifetime of wondering, I am helping to lead a new global effort to find out, he said. Planet Gliese 832c has 5 times the mass of Earth and a similar temperature.
Is he planet shaming because of its weight?
Yes, he is.
What a jerk.
He is a jerk.
Yeah.
I mean, that planet has worked out, Dave. Yeah. It's cut its calories, and it watches Dr. Oz religiously, looking for new diets and everything.
Equator.
Yeah. Well, I think so. I think it's not husky. It's big boned. It's been described as an inhabitable super Earth, Dave. That's 16 light years from our planet. A light year is about 9.5 trillion kilometers, which sounds like a lot. But in the perspective of space, it's really not that far. Mr. Hawking has also warned Earth could become as hot as Venus as a result of climate change. He told the BBC climate change could turn the planet into a hothouse. Yeah, baby. Oh, wait, no, not that kind of hothouse. And Trump's decision to pull out of the Paris Climate Agreement to reduce CO2 levels could accelerate the threat. He said we are close to the tipping point where global warming becomes irreversible. Trump's action could push the Earth over the brink to become like Venus with a temperature of 250 Celsius and raining sulfuric acid.
Yikes, that's happy thoughts.
That sounds like a Slipknot video, doesn't it? It's kind of interesting. Hawking also said humans may have to consider living on a different planet elsewhere if climate changes ravages our own world. That's a Hawking catch-22, Dave. Because if we have to move to a different world, you know who could be waiting there for us?
Vestal virgins?
Well, that's the good point.
Oh, sorry.
But aliens, Dave!
Good God, you blew up my eardrums.
And then they're gonna rape us, Dave!
Well, wow, why do you have to go there? Maybe they're just really good at making sandwiches and s'mores. Maybe that's what they'll give us.
I'm just living in the Stephen Hawking world, Dave.
I don't want to be there with you, son.
Oh.
Beyond the darkness.
Time now for Parashare here on the Best in Paranormal Talk Radio. Ready to get into some emails, Tim?
Yes, I am.
Hello.
Hello.
I listen to your podcast all the time, and I was just intrigued to hear what your opinion would be on my own personal experiences. I'm 23, from Scotland, and my name is Stephanie. I've had a lot of strange things happen to me throughout my life. The letter begins, Tim. My grandparents always tell stories about how I could sit and have conversations with people who weren't there as young as 3. I feel like Scrooge McDuck reading a woman's email.
Yeah,
Can't do
I was
that.
going to say, yeah.
Not like, can't do a quaint little beautiful Scottish maiden's
Right,
Voice. They
yeah.
are beautiful
Oh,
voices.
they are, yeah.
Lilting and lovely. Angry drunks. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. The Irish have more of the lilt. The Scottish have got a little bit more of a brogue to them, Tim.
Right.
But they're amazing anyway. I love both people were great when I was out in their countries. They were very loving and kind to us. They brought us in. Their gay bars loved me, Tim.
Did they?
They did.
Oh, wow.
When we were in Scotland. I'll tell this quick story because it makes me laugh. I'm there with my paranormal group for our tour. We're in this bar. The leader of our tour group says, oh, here's a bar that's open. We all go in. We're all standing at boot, if you will.
Yep.
And we're chit-chatting. And all of a sudden, I told this story years ago, but it just still cracks me up. All of a sudden, Jeff in our group kind of gives me the elbow and he goes, hey, Dave, I think we're in a gay bar. I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, my goodness. And it was all men. Oh. And they were doing karaoke night.
Oh.
Right. All of a sudden, this glut of women come in. I'm like, oh, it's not a gay bar. We were just waiting for the girls.
Right.
And the girls started making out with one another.
Oh.
So after a few minutes of uncomfortable standing in one place, I decided to walk up to the bar to get myself a drink, Tim.
Sure.
And as I'm standing there, this tap comes on my right shoulder. I turn around and there's this short, stocky, relatively good-looking Scottish man.
Good for you.
And he goes, I'm going to sing karaoke. I said, oh, great. I'm going to sing a little Otis Redding.
Oh, good
and
taste.
I go, oh, cool. He goes, do you know Otis Redding? And I go, sure I do.
Yeah.
He said, sitting on the dock of the bay, he goes, oh, fuck, you know Otis Redding.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I do. And he goes, let me buy you a drink. I go, all right. So he buys me a drink. I turn around, I give the thumbs up to my clan. First time I've had a man buy me a drink, Tim.
Attaboy.
So he buys me the drink, and then he looks lovingly into my eyes, and he goes, do you want to come up and listen to me sing to you? Oh. And I'm like, yeah, I do.
Tiger.
Hot damn.
Yeah.
So this guy went up and sang his heart out to sitting on the dock of the bay for me, Tim.
He's watching the tide roll away.
Sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. He was an angry Scotsman.
Wow.
No, it was very charming. Every time I went to the bar, a gentleman would buy me a drink. And then, but my favorite moment was going into the restroom. And I take a wee while I'm in the bathroom, Tim.
I see. Yeah.
And it's a long trough against this wall. And there's like a door with no door. Just goes right out into the bar again. And I wash my hands and I start walking out. And this guy is standing there and he goes, hey. And he starts he's crab walking as he's peeing into the trough to talk to me.
Yeah.
You here alone? So I'm here with some friends. I mean, do you have anybody special? I'm like, I do not. Let me buy you a drink. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
I'm getting picked up on in the bathroom, Tim.
Damn.
Scottishmen know a good-looking white fellow when they see one.
Say.
So he quickly tapped, washed, took me over to his table, bought me introduced me to his friends, put his arm around me, bought me a drink. And then after I drank it, I left. I said, it was a pleasure meeting you, and I walked away.
Look at you.
And he was like, what the hell?
Tease.
I know. I'm a bit of a tease, Tim, but it was free booze.
Well.
But it was delightful. It was a great night. I had a fun time. I got hit on more on that trip, Tim, than I have in years.
I know this much, though. You knew you were the alpha male the minute you walked into that bar.
The minute I walked in the joint.
Because all the guys there in Scotland are wearing skirts. So
they're kilts, Tim.
You knew
Tim,
you were the alpha male.
you don't want to find out. You don't want to get clubbed with what they've got underneath their kilt for calling it a skirt. I'll just tell you that for damn sure. All right, let's get back to this email from Stephanie.
Yeah, let's see that.
People want to hear paranormal stories, not Dave getting hit on in a gay bar. I'll be back. I've had a lot of strange things happen to me throughout my life. My grandparents always tell me stories about how I could sit and have conversations with people who weren't there as young as 3. Not like an imaginary friend, like a real person. And when they would ask who I was talking to, I would just shrug and continue to converse with this person. I'd consider myself to be a very spiritual and open person, but I'm not a religious person. I come from a very religious family, but the whole thing has just never made much sense to me. Though I do believe I am very emotionally sensitive, I can tell how someone is feeling even if we are sitting in silence. And I've always told I know exactly what to say to people when they need to hear it. I like that. That's nice. I think that's empathic.
Yes, it is.
I am the opposite. I always say the worst possible things Oh, my grandmother just died. Hey, you want to blow me? It's just those are the worst times to ask her that question.
That is?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not empathic
This is a
either.
family show. We gotta knock this stuff off. Yeah. You take us into the world of cable, Tim, and suddenly I'm a potty mouth.
We're on cable?
Well, it's like cable. Oh. Podcasting's like cable, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She goes, I would consider myself to be a very spiritual and open person, but I'm not religious. I come from a very religious family, but the whole thing has never made much sense to me. Though I do believe I am very emotionally sensitive. I can tell how someone is feeling, even if we're sitting in silence. I've always been told I know exactly what to say to people when they need to hear it. I can also be in a house or location for 5 minutes and tell you if there's something that shouldn't be there. Usually it's me.
Yeah.
Yep, I shouldn't be here. Last year, my grandpa got very sick and was admitted to the hospital. The night before he passed, I had a dream about a man who was all dressed in black, leather jacket with a black hoodie underneath, which had the hood up and covered his face. He was just standing outside my window watching everyone, but nobody else could see him. He slowly revealed large black wings and then disappeared. That morning, I found a wooden cross outside my house in the garden, and then I got the call that my grandpa had passed away. I just thought that all these things leading up to my grandpa's passing were a sign that he was going to be okay. And we were going to be okay. I don't believe in angels, but what else could you call that? I don't know. That's death? Is death an angel? Or a raven?
Or a guide or a
Could
premonition.
Be, yeah.
It could have been a premonition as well. That was
Most of the strange things happen at night and when I'm asleep. Sometimes I can be sitting watching TV and I'll suddenly just feel like something else is in the room and I need to watch my back. I have always had this feeling and it followed me my entire life, and a complete horror buff, so everyone also blames that. But it's more than a feeling that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Around the time I met my boyfriend, I started having dreams about this man. I never see him, but I know he's there and I hear his voice. The dreams can vary from taking a walk in the park with this unseen person to the most horrifying and upsetting dreams I've ever had. Most of the time, these dreams end up being sexual, which is completely insane because I never see him. I often have night terrors on top of all of this as well. Well, that makes sense to me, though. Having sex with somebody you can't see, there's fear, pain, pleasure principle. I think that's all in that same vein. You realize it. Did you know this? This is a scientific fact, Tim. Scientific fact. You guys will find that funnier tomorrow after True Crime Tuesday.
Right.
But anyway, we record out of session sometimes.
Yeah.
Did you know that if you're really trying to hit it off with a person of the opposite, anybody that you're with, opposite sex, same sex, whatever, on a first date, do you know why people like to go to horror movies and theme parks?
Why is this?
That fear bonds you, and it can open up sexuality in between you two.
Oh.
Because it's kind of this terror feeling, and you're both surviving it together. So it opens up sexuality in you. Interesting. So, Tim, if you ever find yourself on a first date again, dress with a clown mask and a black hoodie and tape a machete to the stump where your arm used to be.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, and then just swing it at her a few times and then pull off the mask and go, I'm just kidding.
Let's
I'm just
bond.
kidding. Right. That'll create a bonding sensation, Tim. It will or it won't.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be one of those two.
I think so.
Yeah. But sexual, I understand that aspect.
Yeah.
I think that fear can agitate that sexuality. And if this person is making you feel comfortable, and sometimes we also find pleasure in giving in to something that we're afraid of. So that could be part of it. I'm not a dream interpreter. I am a interpretive dancer.
I've seen that, and it's scary. I'm not going to lie. There are times where you've tripped over stuff, and I worry about your health. I have another theory.
Okay. She wanted our opinion.
For Stephanie.
She'll be sorry she asked.
No. This is actually legitimate.
Right.
I'm not joking here. Ask that person to reveal their face in the dream when you if you can do
What
this.
if it's you? What if she reveals the face and it turns out to be her?
Then tell me that you can have a restraining order out in about 2 hours, and I'll disappear out of the dream.
No, I mean, what if
before
what if
you
you
go
say,
to sleep,
can you show me, and you pull back the mask and it's yourself? Meaning you're walking with this thing creeping you out.
That's some Freudian stuff right there.
But we've screwed ourselves enough in life, Tim, that it's not so far out of the stretch of reality.
That's true. Before you go to sleep, ask for if that person comes to you in the dream to reveal their face. As you're going into sleep, ask for them to reveal their face. If you can do it while you're in the dream, if it's lucid, ask for them to reveal their face. Because I have a theory that this may be a spirit guide that you've become romantically involved with.
One of the fallen angels?
Maybe.
The Anunnaki?
Hey,
Anunnaki!
Or a spirit guide that you might have had a past life with, that you were romantically involved with.
Yeah. And then you two are kind of walking this path together.
Right.
And especially if you're going through these moments of sheer terror.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Well, it's like spider monkeys. They freak out and they instantly pleasure themselves. So maybe it's that kind of sense that you get this fear in the dream. You're together, you share it, and it's like, no, let's have sex. I'm not kidding. I'm serious. Maybe that's the reaction. Huh? My boyfriend, not mine, but Stephanie's, my boyfriend suffers from sleep paralysis at least once a week, and he will always say that the dream he was having involved demonic content that also involved me. He gets so scared sometimes he has to wake me up, which then freaks me out even more, and he says he always feels threatened by it. I don't believe in demons, but again, it's hard to say what this is without talking about it. He even had an experience where I was awake and getting ready for work while he was asleep. As he was rolling over in the bed, he opened his eyes and stared at me like he had seen a ghost. When I asked what he could see, he shrugged it off and went back to sleep. Later that day, he told me he had seen a little boy with blonde hair and a terrifying smile standing beside me and holding my shirt as I got ready. This really scared me because I was awake and I saw nothing. A lot of things I experience are often related to small children, but I can be awake or asleep. These experiences are countless and growing more disturbing. I could talk all day, but I won't bore you. Okay, so now I might have changed the theory a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if she had it. Maybe it isn't a spirit guide so much as maybe she had either one, like I said, guy from a past life, or two, maybe a boyfriend who might have passed away, or a guy that she might have known in this life that passed away that's trying to. Maybe she even has a child from a past life that's clinging to her. That is still earthbound and is trying to keep her for his own. Could be. And is trying to force the boyfriend out. I've tried to contact mediums and psychics to see if there's anything to do for it, but every time we book something, they have to cancel, have an accident, can't find our house, or forget to book us in. See? Sorry for the long-winded email. I was just wondering what your take on this is. Or do you know anyone that would be interested in giving me their opinion? No. Don't be shy to say that I sound batshit crazy either. Kind regards, Stephanie. You sound batshit crazy. Well, no, you don't. Not at all. I don't know. That's fascinating stuff, though, Stephanie. And I'd contact Robert Major, Ghost Remover, and see if he has some insight on this. They can do some remote work, and maybe he can tell you what's going on. Yeah. Howdy, Dave and Tim. Howdy. Just heard you read my last email on the recent Parashare episode. I was delighted to hear my story on your podcast, and I'm pleased you and Tim got a chuckle out of my little misadventure with UFO Venus sighting. I shared a link to Beyond the Darkness in social media to all my friends and family. Hopefully you will pick up a couple of new listeners. All right, well, post it again because we're about to read your second story. Yep. So get it out to more friends and relatives. Yep. Hearing the story reminded me that I wanted to tell you about the time I encountered a cryptid that I have never heard described or discussed on any paranormal show. This sighting happened when I was a child, so unfortunately I cannot give you very much detail about the creature, but I've never forgotten the terrifying incident. I was about 6 years old when the incident occurred, so it would have been around the summer of 1983. My father would sometimes take my two older brothers and I to Lake Tyler to go swimming. The spot we frequented was a small fork of the lake with a weathered old wooden fishing pier. Not being a timid child, it was my habit to run the length of the pier, leap into the lake as soon as we arrived. You wouldn't catch me pulling that stunt these days, though, and especially not in Lake Tyler. Not after what I saw. Dun, dun, dun. We'll be back next week with more of the story. No, we'll stay with it. Good night, everybody. I leapt off the pier, out over the surface of the lake, eager to enjoy the water. As I hung there in the air above the lake, I looked down into the water below me. I could see the shadowy figure of something large moving just below the water surface directly beneath me. I had no idea what the thing was, and being obscured by a few inches of lake water, I could not discern any details. All I could see was the shadow outline of the figure as I drifted through the air above it. It had the lower half of an alligator and the upper half of a woman. I could discern the short back legs and long, thick tail of the creature, as well as 2 long human arms at the front end, and what seemed to be a woman's long hair flowing in the water behind the head as it swam. God, I hope it wasn't like an alligator that had a half-eaten woman in her, swimming out.
Yeah. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was terrified. It was bad enough seeing something so bizarre and unexpected, but the fact that I had no way of changing my course and avoiding it made it so much worse. Time seemed to slow down as I fell out of the air and directly on top of the shadowy figure. I knew it was going to kill me. It was going to eat me or drag me underwater and drown me or something equally horrible. I was only 6 years old. I was unfamiliar with the habits of murderous lake monsters. Mm-hmm. It just never came up at the dinner table, Tim. That's what it says here. I tucked my legs close to my body and I hit the water hard. I don't know if I hit the creature. The impact with the water and my own panic could have masked any incidental contact I made with it. I hit the water in a panic and Scooby-Dooed my way to shore as fast as I could swim. I just came out of the lake yelling for help, and when I told my brothers what I had seen, they laughed at me and called me stupid. It might seem like cruel behavior, but the fact that my brothers obviously discounted my story was actually quite comforting, and I began to calm down. Even so, I stayed out of the water for a while. Content to let the monster eat my brothers first. I estimate the creature's size to be 6 to 7 feet long, proportion roughly the same as an alligator, long, lean, and dense. Sounds a lot like somebody I knew in high school.
Yeah.
Long, lean, and dense. Yeah. The obvious explanation is that what I saw in the water was my own shadow, but I saw my shadow on the surface of the lake beside the creature beneath the water. It was not my shadow. The only other plausible explanation was that the creature I saw was, in fact, an alligator or one of those giant catfish you sometimes hear about. But if that had been the case, I definitely would have felt it when I landed on top of it and when it ate me. Mm-hmm. I have to point out that we do occasionally get alligators in East Texas, but they are extremely rare as the environment is just too arid for them to thrive. I have taken to calling the creature of the Lake Tyler Mergator. Lake Tyler Mergator.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, I'm the only person to have encountered it. Thanks again for reading my story. I'm curious to know if anyone else has ever encountered such a creature. I would be very gratified to prove my brothers wrong after all this time. Health, success, and happiness to the whole Beyond the Darkness crew. All both of you. That comes from Jeremy from Texas.
Got a better name for it, Jeremy.
What?
Let's go Hall & Oates on the bit and call it Man-Eater.
Oh, here she comes. Mm-hmm. Watch out, boy, she'll chew you up.
Yep.
Don't jump off the pier. She's a man-eater.
See?
Yeah, I'm not going to keep singing till my life's over.
Why?
I just want to be I'm a frustrated lounge singer with no voice. It's irritating. Hey, here's the scoop. I think it's an alligator that was carrying off the remains of a kill.
That might be.
I'm just saying, that might be the...
logically, that could be.
Especially when he said that alligators have been known to be in that area.
Yeah.
That's why I don't go. I don't go in a murder lake.
Murder lake.
I hate it. My kids love to swim in the local lake by us. Mm-hmm. And, dude, I literally cannot look at it without thinking, how many bodies are down there? How many bodies? Or what if there's an alligator? What if there's a giant snake? My kids would be so screwed because if something popped up, I would be back in my car before it swallowed them.
I'm trying to think of which friend of mine on Facebook posted the video this past week. Made me think of you. It's I forget the name of the phobia now of whatever's under the water, and it was like a 5 or 6 minute video. I gotta find it and I'll send it to you.
Why, you want to screw with me even more?
No. But it's. I swear you have this phobia. It's this whole fear of whatever. You can't
see what's under there. Right,
that's exactly
icky,
what it is.
Dude.
It's a legit phobia, though.
If it's beautiful, crystal clear water, I'm more intrigued by it. But there's still stuff that hang out under the sand.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's
jellyfish in it.
Yeah, it explains the entire phobia and everything.
Oh, it's terrifying.
But
I've just become a bigger and bigger pussy the older I get.
No, I
I'm
honestly
afraid of everything. Spoiled milk, lake water.
There's a phobia
out of doors.
No, I think but honestly, I think you have that phobia, that water phobia. I don't think it has anything to do with
terrified of women that want to choke me.
Okay, that's a real thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so I'm not totally out of line feeling that way.
No.
Okay.
They do that.
What?
Women, they
choke you?
Yeah.
You know why I like my pillow, Tim?
Why is that?
because you can't suffocate somebody with a MyPillow.
That's right.
How do you like them apples?
I like that.
So,
Yeah.
Bring it on, ladies.
Yeah.
I'll take your weird sexuality. You can't choke me with that pillow.
Can't suffocate Dave with a MyPillow.
Hi, Dave and Tim.
Hi.
In June of this year, our family of 9 moved to a nearby town in outlining Phoenix metro area. The house is perfect for our family, and the price is good for the area. In our home, there are phones of higher intelligence. Oh, okay. Smartphones.
Oh. Okay.
In our home, we have, there's phones of higher intelligence and one not so smart one. That one is for the kids to take in their gear bags at practice just in case they need to call one of us. During the move, I realized that the cell phone was not charged, and ultimately we had lost service to it. Also during this time, we were moving. My elder kid needed to help up with his life. My elder kid needed to help up with his life. The second one is stressing herself over college, and my house still looks like a war zone. Pardon me. Some Foster Brooks. And I don't know, a war zone. Then my cousin called to tell me her only sibling, a brother, died of a drug overdose.
Oh, no.
Her father passed away in January 2006 and her mother last fall. Now her brother. This is unbearable.
Yeah.
Fast forward a bit past the drama to a couple days ago, Friday, when my phone received a call from the boy's dumb phone. I had been under the weather and went to bed early, so I didn't notice at first the vibrating on my bedside table. Yeah, that does get old after a while. You just stop hearing it.
Yeah.
The call came in at 12:24, 12:33, 12:34, and 1:01. 3 calls captured messages. I've attached the files below. It was so persistent that I actually began walking with the phone lit up. My husband actually began looking for someone in the home. We began to talk about people that live in the crawl spaces. I will take ghosts first, thank you very much. Then I began thinking about my cousin dying alone. Saturday, I showed the calls to some of my friends at the memorial service for him. They were astounded. I really know nothing of cell phones. Could these static points be someone trying to get through the electrical, or maybe it's time to disconnect that old dumb phone? These files are unaltered, 2 or 3 minutes long. The static is throughout the 2 longer clips, but sometimes sounds like voices in the static. The shorter one just gives an idea of the sounds in the room. Maybe your equipment will be able to find something. Interesting. Should I try to play it, Tim?
Actually, forward it to me. I could play it on our system.
All right, I will. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we listened to it off air because we were having some problems with our system. I really don't hear anything than what sounds like a butt dial and somebody walking with the phone in their pocket kind of sound, that kind of I don't really hear anything that sounded like voices to me.
You know what it almost sounds like to me is cordless phone static, like when you move a cordless phone around.
I mean, I would call the phone number. You know what the number is, call and see what happens, but then just shut down that phone. You can go get a cheap flip phone for the kids, the not so intelligent flip phones, and replace it for all of like $9 at most stores at this point. So,
and to be fair with you, we were listening to it through headphones, through a highly sensitive system, and we didn't hear any voices. So, sorry.
No. All right, let's see here. Hi, Dave. I just had to tell you what has happened to me in the last few days. I've had my beautiful little Shih Tzu, Fentiki, for 13 years next month. But on Friday, he became very ill. We rushed him to the vet, who said he had acute heart failure. He said he could try and treat him at home, but put him to sleep. And after giving him lots of medication, we took him with us home to his little bed to try to save him. At about 4 a.m. Saturday morning, I realized I would have to let my little baby doggy go. We were totally shocked and unprepared. It was devastating to hold my baby as he passed away. We had such a bond, I could not believe he was gone. I still can't. From Saturday till Monday evening, I've sobbed and cried, begging him to come back, and not able to comprehend my life without my precious, beautiful boy. But at around 10 p.m. last night, something unbelievable happened, and I have it all on film, which I can't believe. I was alone in the kitchen, looking at Fenny's photo, crying and telling him how much I loved him and missed him. I was also listening to a medium on YouTube talking about calling your deceased pet to visit you, and that when you did that, you would be able to catch orbs in photographs if you look at them. Now, this made me take notice, and I began to call him, not really believing anything would happen. Within seconds, a bright orb came out of nowhere and flew around my legs. I snatched up my phone and tried to catch it, but I didn't manage, so I turned on the video instead. I couldn't believe what I saw. Orbs started to come out of the floor and thin air. As I watched, I seemed to roughly know who they were, my animals, family, and people I knew. They flew all around the room when I spoke to Fenny and to them. So grateful for this gift and so amazed that they will be allowing me to see them. There was also a mist that slowly spread itself across the room alongside the orbs. It's one of the most beautiful experiences of my life, and I'm actually able to share it with people. The other thing that is strange is that I've always felt close to spirit, and I've had lots of encounters. One in particular I really wanted to share with you at some point, which I think you might find interesting. But I often, unless it was visual, thought it could be my imagination until last night. I can feel a conscious shift around myself. So, many huge life-changing things have happened in such a little time. Fenny is the catalyst. I've always been a little afraid of opening up to spirit, but to get Fenny, I would claw through stone walls with my bare hands, and he knows it. My love for my animals outweighs how I feel for most people, but he is the most special of all. Our bond is unbreakable, and I love my animals deeply as much as my human children. I've lost many animals in the last few years, and I've been devastated, but to lose him is a loss of a piece of my heart. I feel that Fentiki will become a spirit guide to me and will always be with me, which will help in my grief. I could not understand how I could get through the rest of my life without him, but now I see. Even though I will not have him in physical fursuit, which is hard to comprehend, I will have him visibly in spirit, and for that I'm very grateful. I hope that you will share my story on air so that other people can find hope in their loss, and I will, of course, send you the film if you would like to see it. Sincerely yours, and that's Tarnia Atwell Stone. Tarnia, well, first of all, let's begin by saying we're sorry for your loss. Mm-hmm. I know how devastating that is to lose one of our fur babies, so I'm glad you're doing a little bit better and that you feel some comfort, and that's all that's important. And you don't need to show us the video, because as long as you're happy and you know that this is what you just had communication with, we want you to just be happy with that. So thank you very much for sharing your story, and hopefully others will find some peace from that as well. Hi, Dave. Just thought I'd share what I witnessed a few minutes ago. I was headed home when I noticed an odd set of lights in a row. This was over a residential part of Las Vegas. I was driving down and I saw a set of lights in a triangle shape just hovering. The lights weren't, but they caught my attention because as soon as I saw them, I thought they must belong to an aircraft, but they were too low for it to be a typical plane. Since it wasn't moving, I thought, well, maybe it's a helicopter. But as I got closer, I didn't see any indication of it being a helicopter. I could be mistaken, but in most helicopter and planes I've seen, they don't have a blinking light. Well, I didn't see it in the formation. It wasn't, I didn't see it in the formation. It didn't coordinate with what I know of a helicopter lights where they would be placed. I was low enough that it was a chopper. I would have heard something, but I heard nothing. Just as I went to start taking a picture, I saw this thing slowly begin to move up a few more feet and slowly move forward, and without warning of any sound, shot forward and was gone so fast and was silent. And it caught me as quite odd. I hope I'm not the only one that witnessed this in Las Vegas, and hopefully another witness reaches out and says what they saw. Please let me know if you get any stories on this. Thank you. And that's from Teresa. She saw that on July 10th at 11:06 p.m. off of Craig Road. So if any of our other listeners in the Las Vegas area saw that, please let us know. Be interesting to share that story with you. Well, I think that's about it for this week's show, Tim. What do we got on there? About another 30 are we on?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, so we're done for this week's show, but we'll be back next week, and we've got a lot more stories to share. And please remember, we got True Crime Tuesday kicking off tomorrow. And this is going to be a fantastic episode. Mm-hmm. We get to hear from a coroner, Tim, whose job it is to make the dead speak and understand what the dead have to share. And that's going to be tomorrow on the show for True Crime Tuesday. As a matter of fact, this guy is part of the Investigation Discovery Channel. The Coroner, I Speak for the Dead. And it's a compelling TV show. And we get to hear these homicide stories and cases from the last 26 years as the coroner of Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. So he's able to kind of give us some insights that we've never had before. So we'll talk about that on True Crime Tuesday. Plus, we've got a really fun Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals coming your way. That's tomorrow on the best in paranormal talk radio and best of true crime talk radio. So you've got True Crime Tuesday tomorrow. And then on the regular show, what is our topic tomorrow, Tim? We've got
That would be Nigel, isn't it?
Yes, Nigel Kerner is going to join us, and we'll talk about alien abductions. We'll talk about robotic grays and some of the weird agenda. That's all taking place this week. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I'm Dave. That's Tim, and this is Beyond the Darkness.